Today I'm going to be showing you how to install the Progressive Suspension Drop-In Fork Lowering Kit on my 99 Softail dubbed Project Slamtail. For starters, I recommend removing your front turn signals. The reason I didn't show these on the video is because I have a set of aftermarket turn signals, but if you have the originals, all they will take is a 7/16 socket. Once those are removed, go ahead and take some tape, like the electrical tape is shown, and place it around the top fork caps. The reason you do this is to prevent from scratching up the chrome while you break the fork caps loose while the bike is on the ground. Now before you loosen the top clamps of the triple tree, take a 3/16 Allen key or an Allen socket and loosen the two pinch bolts. Once you release the pinch bolts, go ahead and move on to breaking loose the fork caps. These, I believe, take an 1 3/8 size wrench, or you can use an adjustable wrench like I'm using. The same exact process goes for the opposite fork cap. Now once the fork caps are removed with the bike on its own weight, the next step is you want to go ahead and jack it up in the air. To do this safely, you want to go ahead and remove the seat. Usually it takes just a Phillips screwdriver, but the main goal here is to find a place for the ratchet strap to go around securely, like on the frame. If it remains on the seat, then it's going to cushion down and ultimately the bike can fall off the stand because there's too much wiggle room. So once you get the bike fully jacked up into a position where the front wheel can spin just a little bit, go ahead and take the ratchet strap, secure it to the lift, and tie it down, and you're ready to go on to the next step. With the front wheel off the ground, the next step is you'll want to go ahead and remove the front fender. To remove the fender, it will take a 1/2" Allen key or an Allen socket on the outside of the bolts, and then a regular 1/4" socket on the inside. There's a total of 4 bolts to remove to release the fender. Now around this step you can decide to drain the fork oil. I will show you a later time to do it. It makes it a little easier, but if you decide to do it now, all it will take is a Phillips screwdriver, and there's one drain plug on the left and one on the right. It's only 1 to 2 inches below the caliper as shown. Maybe a little difficult to see, but what I do recommend doing if you break it loose now is take a 1/4" socket and take a Phillips screwdriver tip, put it in the 1/4" socket. That way you get a little more leverage than just a screwdriver to break the drain plug loose. With the fender removed, go ahead and remove the caliper bolts. There is 2 in total, and they take a 5/16 Allen key or an Allen socket. Once these bolts are removed, you want to hang the caliper off of the brake hose, so either use a coat hanger, mechanics wire, whatever, hang it off of a solid point like the lower triple tree, or you can do what I did, is I just set a towel on the gas tank and set the caliper on top of that. That way it's not hanging on the brake hose, stretching it out and risking damaging it. Before removing the axle, you will need to loosen up the pinch bolts on the right side of the tube. When I say the right side, that's when you're sitting on the bike and looking straight forward. These pinch bolts, there's 2 of them, and they take a 1/2 inch socket. After the pinch bolts are loosened up, go ahead and remove the axle, which will take a 3/4 inch socket or wrench. In some cases, it may take some extra force to remove the axle, so just go ahead and grab yourself a hammer or a rubber mallet, hold up on the wheel, and tap the axle till it pops right out. Once the axle is removed, the wheel will drop right out. Just make sure you take note of which spacers go where. Once the wheel is removed, you can go back up top to the upper fork caps with that crescent wrench or the 1 3/8 socket and remove the. You want to take note of what parts go where. Once you remove the upper fork cap nut, there's also going to be a rubber crush washer shown here, and then also a metal standard washer. Same goes for the opposite side. Now before you can release the fork caps completely to slide them out, you want to go ahead and remove the 2 lower triple tree pinch bolts, and those take a 5/8 socket. As you can see, once those lower triple tree pinch bolts are removed, the axle tubes slide right out. With the forks now removed, we can then begin disassembly so we can install that lowering kit. So for starters, take that crescent wrench and you'll want to go ahead and remove the spring tension nut up top. When you remove this nut, you'll want to take extra precaution because not only will it make a mess when it releases, but it can also launch across the garage, which can be dangerous. So be careful. With that cap removed, go ahead and slide out the spring. At this point is when I chose to drain the fork oil. You can do it at an earlier time, but it just seems easier. I didn't show it because it's a messy process, but drain the fork oil. Once you do that, take the new spring, like shown here, and drop it into place. Now's a good time to replace the fork oil before you get any further. What I chose is a SEA Screamin' Eagle Heavy Type fork oil because the original Harley oil that they typically choose from the factory is very light and it causes the front end to float. So with using a heavy oil, it compensates that. Before you begin to reassemble the forks with the parts included, you will want to remove any air bubbles as much as possible. So take the fork tube and gently go up and down. And for Christ's sakes, you're not jerking the thing off. So be careful here because you will make a mess. But all you're trying to do is remove some of the air bubbles. Once you're happy with that, take one of the washers included in the kit and set it into place. Next, take the piece of PVC which you may or may not have cut down, drop it in, take another washer, place it in the tube, and then lastly, take the compensator spring and drop it into place before screwing on the fork cap. Now there's going to be many methods to getting this spring cap back into place because it's going to take some force. What I chose to do is take a fork removal tool, which you can find all over online. I recommend one by Traxion, so you can go to traxion.com and purchase it, or get one for cheap on eBay like I did. Set the nut in the center of it, tighten it down, put your body weight into place. With that, you can eventually work it down, tightening it finally with a crescent wrench. So slide the fork into place, take that 5-inch socket, tighten the lower triple tree bolt. That way you can finalize torquing down that fork cap. With it torqued down into place, take that 5-inch socket again, remove the lower triple tree pinch bolt. That way you can slide the fork totally up and then place the actual fork cap chrome piece into place. But don't forget the washer, the rubber crush washer, and then the actual chrome cap. After the forks are in place, grab that tape again, apply it around the fork cap. So once you take that crescent wrench or whatever else and you torque it down, you prevent it from scratching the upper triple tree and the chrome nut. After that, take your 3/16 Allen key or Allen socket and tighten the upper triple tree fork pinch bolts down. Next step in the reassembly process is to reattach the caliper. This again takes a 5/16 Allen key or an Allen socket and is attached with 2 bolts. Once the caliper is torqued down, take your front wheel and lift it up into place. More than likely it will take some maneuvering, but once you get it lined up, you can slide the axle in, and you may need to use a hammer to tap it into place. After the axle is all the way through, take your washer, place it on the axle. Next, you'll take the lock washer, and then finally the axle nut. To prevent the axle from spinning when you tighten it down, I recommend taking a screwdriver and placing it into the opposite side of the nut. That way it stops it, so when you tighten it with the 3/4 axle, it doesn't spin on you. After the axle is tightened down, move on to the 2 1/2-inch pinch bolts and torque them down. Spin the wheel a few times, making sure there's no binding. Once there's no binding found, take your front fender, set it onto place, and go ahead and tighten down the 4 fender bolts. Again, these take a 1/2 inch Allen key or an Allen socket on the outside and a 1/4 inch socket on the acorn nuts on the inside. With that, you're just about done. One of the last remaining things to bolt back onto the bike are the turn signals. If you have the original turn signals, again, they will take a 7/16 socket to tighten down. If you have an aftermarket set, normally they take a 7/64 Allen key or an Allen socket. You're now on the home stretch of installing your kit, so the only steps remaining are to go back to your bike lift and lower the bike. Now you want to make sure your kickstand is lowered before it touches down on the ground. Once it's back under its own weight, go ahead and remove the ratchet strap that was securing it to the lift. With that, you are officially onto the last and final step, which is to simply remount that seat, which in most cases, all it will take is a basic Phillips screwdriver. So after you remove the bike lift and clean the garage, the only thing left to do is to enjoy the view. So with this video, hopefully I showed you that the progressive suspension drop-in fork lowering kit is easy to a certain extent. It's not so much drop-in, but hopefully you get an idea before you purchase it. That way you know how the install goes. So I'm airing out my bike on the rear suspension, getting the full effect, so hopefully you guys do the same. So grab a beer, call your buddies up, show them your new lowered bike, and whatever you do, just be safe out there. It's a dangerous world. So regardless, thanks for watching, guys. Catch you next time.